fourths, fifths, minors, majors, seconds, thirds, flat fives, the diminished chord, the circle of fifths. You've tried to figure it out before, but you're here today because you haven't given up. You know that if you could just understand this circle, that you could take your songwriting and musicianship to a whole new level, being able to improvise like a pro, shredding over minor major chords, knowing the modes. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. So let's dive in. Hello! And here we are with the circle of fifths. Now, some people say that music theory is more complicated than quantum mechanics. There's a reason for that, because this can get really hairy really quick, and it can get really confusing. What I'm going to try to do in this video is break it down simply for you, so you can take just one key and get that down, and once you get one key down, you can grasp that, then you can move it into other keys. Let's do that, and let's start with our favorite key, which is the key of C. And if you haven't watched the other videos, the videos on the major scale and the chords in the major keys, then you should probably check that out first before you watch this. Okay, but this circle of fifths is just a tool that you can use to find chords quickly within a particular key. That's why it was built. And it's actually a fifths and a fourths. You can see right here, this is fifths, and then this is fourths. So we did the key of C before, and we know all the chords in the key of C. We wrote all of those out. We had C, we had D minor, we had E minor, we had F, we had G, we had A minor, and then we had B half diminished. Now the half diminished chord is not in this because you very rarely will use the half diminished chord. Don't worry about that too much. The key of C here. This is the circle of fifths tells us all the chords in the key of C. We have C. Right next to it is the fourth of that key, F. Remember we did that before? And then the fifth of the key of C is G. And we had numbers, so this would be 1, C would be 1, F would be 4, fourths, and then G would be 5, which would be fifth, the fifth of the key of C. And then below here, the sixth, I may not have mentioned in the video, is the relative minor. And then to the left, we have D minor, which is the second, and then to the right, again on the fifths, we have E minor, which is the third. Now we didn't write out the relative minor keys, we'll save that for another video, but all three of these top chords are the major chords for the key of C, and these three bottom chords are the minor chords for the key of C. So if we just broke, let's just take just this little chunk right here. These are all of the chords in the key of C. Okay, you can use all of these really easily. It also, this circle has the 1, 3, and the 5 of the chord for the C, the F, and the G. So these notes are the actual notes of the chord. So how do we use this? How do we apply this in our songwriting and our musicianship? Let's say we wanted to compose a song in the key of C. We can pretty much use any of these 6 chords to put a chord progression together that's going to sound pretty good. And that's where the experimenting really comes into play, and is what makes it so much fun. You can basically pick these chords and they're going to sound good in the key. And you have to use your ear a little bit to sort of trust that the chords do sound good. If something doesn't sound like the way you want it, you can change it. So this is why the circle of fifths is amazing. It's almost like the periodic table for chemistry. You know, I'm not a chemist, but I'm pretty sure you take different elements and you put them together, and then you get other elements, and you get different chemicals and things that you can use in building more chemicals or elements. Again, I'm not a chemist, but this is kind of similar. It's like a table that you can hang up somewhere, and if you're stuck, you can look at. So let's pick one of these at random. Let's say we wanted to start putting a chord progression together. We started with A minor, and then we wanted to pick another chord. Let's say we want to go to F. Okay, and then let's say we wanted to pick another one. Maybe, are we going to pick a minor or a major? Maybe we'll go D minor. Okay, and then we're going to go to a C, maybe, or maybe we'll go to G. So we got A minor, F, D minor, G. I kind of ran out of room. I should have put it up here. So we pick those 4 chords, we play them, we see how they sound. Maybe we don't like D minor. So maybe we erase D minor, and instead of going to D minor, we go to C, and maybe we'll just play C for 2 measures. Or maybe we'll play an A minor here and see how that sounds. So you have to experiment with it and see how it sounds. See if it's the chords that you like. And this is just the key of C. Okay? Again, G is the 5 in the key of C, F is the 4, and then you have the relative minor right below C, right down here. That's the relative minor. And by the way, all these keys, these are the relative minors. So I'm going to do one more key over. We're going to do the key of G, just so you can see this. So these 6 chords are all the chords that are in the key of C, excluding the half diminished chord, which in the last video I showed you how to use the half diminished chord. It's also known as the leading tone, which leads into the major and the minor. So you could say that like the diminished, B diminished is right here. Okay, so that's what I would highly recommend you do. You actually take these chords and you put a song together using them. So I'm gonna erase some of this and we're gonna do the next key over. So let's say we wrote something in the key of C, we like it, we recorded it, we played a lead part over it, we are gonna write some lyrics over it to turn it into a song, which is a whole nother thing, poetry. So if you wanna learn how to write lyrics, you should probably take some poetry class, or just like anything, practice writing your poetry. But say we're a little bit burned out with the key of C and we wanna move to the next key over, okay? So let's do the key of G. So what chord, actually, okay, let me just make a marker here. So we're now in the key of G. What chords can we use of the key of G? What would be the 5th of the key of G? We go over 1, it would be D. So this D chord is the 5. And what do you think the 4 is for the key of G? You guessed it, it's a C. So this saves you some time from having to write it all out. Like I said, it's kind of like the table of elements. Did I say that right? Table, the something with all the elements, you know, you've got oxygen, helium, hydrogen. Okay, you get what I'm trying to say. So what is the relative minor for G? It is E minor. So there we go. We've got the 1, we've got the 5, we got the 4, and then A minor, this is the 2 chord, and then B minor, this is the 3 chord. Okay, so we've got our 6 chords that we need to compose a song. So what you could do, like I did before with those brackets, you draw a line bracket right here, and then we'll draw a line bracket right here, and there we have it. These are all of the chords in the key of G that we can use. So let's say we wanted to pick one of these at random. Let's just do B minor. So we start with B minor, and then maybe we go D, and then maybe we go G, and then I'm running out of room again, and then maybe we go C. So you'd play that and see how it sounds. I'm not going to play it for you right now, but you can do that at home. Play these chords and see if they sound. So maybe you don't like the C. Maybe you're going to go B minor, D, G, and then you're going to play B minor for another measure. So you'd go, that's how you strum this for a measure, 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 and then you just repeat. Okay, so that is the key of G. And the best way you're going to get a grasp of this is to actually take it and apply it in writing your own songs.
Okay, so I just wanted to chime in here real quick. So those last chords that I said B minor, I said D, and then I said G, and then I said C. So this is what that sounds like. B minor, D, G, C. I don't like the way that sounds. So instead, what I can do is I can put in a new chord. G, D, and then what I did is I played an F sharp leading tone, and then back to B minor, and then D, and then G, and then leading tone, F sharp. So that's the 7th, but then I did one more thing that I can do is I can play an A real quick, which is the 5 in the key of D. So we're kind of bringing in other keys here, but I just wanted to show you that example. I had B minor, D, G, C, no. So experiment. Like it's like using the periodic table of elements, and you can just take other elements and put them together and see how they sound. But having the circle of fifths, if you don't even know what the elements are, you're going to run into trouble. So I just wanted to shoot that for you real quick so you could hear it in real time about how I switch that C chord instead, and I play that F sharp minor or F sharp leading tone. And then I even threw in an extra A chord, which is the 5 chord in the key of D. And it just sounds good, because once you know the rules, once you know all the elements, then you can maybe add in another element real quick. All right, so I just wanted to do that for you real quick so you can see.
Because, you know, that's where the fun happens. You take these chords and experiment with them, and then once you do that, you can record them in a DAW or on your phone if you want to. You probably want to have some sort of microphone. Then you can play that over and over on loop and come up with your own melodies, or come up with your own vocal melodies, your own vocal lyrics. So this This circle of fifths has all 12 of the keys. And if you wanted to be brave, you could go to the next key over and do the key of D and pick some chords in the key of D. What's so cool about the guitar is if we know all the chords in the key of C and the key of G, which we have F and B minor, those are the bar chords, so those are the ones people usually struggle with. Because if you're on the guitar, a lot of these other chords are going to be bar chords. But if you have a capo and you're playing on guitar, you can just move the capo up and you can play in these different keys. That's why knowing this basic music theory is so important. And that is what I'm going to show you in the next video, is how to use a capo for the guitar and move these keys around so you don't have to do, it gets around using bar chords. That's why guitar is so awesome. Sure, there are bar chord like B minor and F, which you have to learn. And guitar is oftentimes very difficult in the beginning, but then it gets easier once you get the bar chords and the open chords and you get some basic strum patterns down. This is the circle of fifths. I would highly recommend you just get the key of C down. If you get the key of C down and you sort of know those chords, like you can say the chords like off the top of your head. You know what the 5 is, you know what the 4 is, you know what the relative minor is, you know what the 2 is, you know what the 3 is, you know what the leading tone is. Start with the key of C. Get that down, get it so you just know it like the back of your hand. And then once you get that down, you move over to the key of G, and then you learn all of those chords. If you can do that, then with the capo on the guitar, you can basically move and play in any different key really simply. And when it comes to improvising, you want to know on the guitar to start out with, you want to know your minor pentatonics. Because if you know your just that one minor pentatonic shape, which I'll probably do in another video, if you know just that shape, you can move it around. If you have the understanding of the theory and the major scale formula and also the chord formula. So this video, I didn't want to do a circle of fifths video until I did those previous videos, so you could really get a grasp and understanding how all of this kind of connects. So I will leave it at that. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And in the next video, I'll be showing you how to use a capo on the guitar so you can move through these keys really, really easily and play basically in any key that you want on the guitar. And you can check that out right here.